I'm Shake here with the Ozark Trail Slalom, and I'm going to do the kind of details and upgrade ideas from me going forward, just like I did with the ledge. And we're going to do a couple of quick comparisons to the ledge, and I'll include, I've had to reshoot here due to my own mistakes, but I'll include the little clip here showing you what the bike weighed. And you can see hanging in at 38.64 pounds. And as you can see, it's 38.64 pounds, which is about, it's a little under 2/10 of a pound heavier than the ledge. So it is the heavier of the two bikes, but it doesn't, you don't really notice that. Not when they're this heavy at this point already. Maybe on some, sub 20-pound race bikes you could, but not here. Because actually on the trail, the slalom feels the faster of the two, just going by feel. But a few measurements to note between the two. While the slalom is a little heavier, I don't think it's noticeably so because they're both heavy. It does have a notably higher standover. Now to measure it, I literally I do these things kind of fly by the seat of my pants and by feel. But so where did I naturally stand over the bike? Well, it turns out to be about right here, about 3/4 inch to 4 inches ahead of the M on the word slalom that's on the top tube. And measured there, my natural point of standing over it, it was at about 31 inches high. Now, if you just watched my ledge video, you'll realize, wait a minute, that's a bit more. As in quite a bit more. That one, just recalling off the top of my head, I believe it was at just under 28 inches. I think I was saying it was like 27 3/4. And this is 31. And that could be make or break for some people. Particularly if you have intentions to go longer travel on the fork. Which, when I do eventually upgrade the fork, I probably am going to go longer on the fork. I'll probably go to 140 millimeters of travel. And that's going to be a little ways down the road, because right now I'm focused on some other builds, but something to note, standover is substantially higher on this bike. And I was mentioning the seat tube length of 17 inches on the ledge. It's only 16, measured from the center of the axle to the top of the seat tube. You're looking at 16 inches. And chainstay length from center of the rear axle to the center of the crank is 17.5 inches. So keep that in mind. That's more about the handling, but the seat tube length is noticeable. And we'll also, I didn't do this on the ledge, but it's got about 20.5 inch chainstay length in total from seat stay, from axle to seat tube. So that's more for those of you who are really fond of the handling features. I'm more caring about this, the rough measurement of reach. This is actually a shorter reach. It was 27 inches on the ledge. It's actually only 26.25 on the slalom. So a little bit shorter effective reach. I know people go by the top tube length. If you really want to know it, go from center of the seat tube to center of the head tube, 22.5 inches. Another thing that is worth knowing would be the head tube height, and it's roughly 4.5 inches. That's the actual head tube itself, not considering the stack height of the stock headset, which I will replace in time whenever I decide what fork I do want to go to. Because it's much like the ledge. The head tube is tapered, but it comes stock with a straight steer tube fork and the headset to accommodate that. So go to a tapered head tube or tapered steer tube fork, you must go to a tapered headset. Now, with all that said, I will go to the seat post issue. Now, I did go ahead, I had a viewer ask the question about the two bikes, the seat post insertion. The ledge has 9.25 inches of seat post insertion, which literally means how far, shove the seat post in, how far does it go in? You can easily just take a seat post and shove it in, mark it with your finger, pull it out, and measure the distance from wherever it hit a hard stop to, or got jammed in the curve, to what was exposed. 9.25 inches on the ledge, only 7.25 to 7.5 if I really shoved on the slalom. That's 2 inches difference. That's quite a bit. Again, remember, high standover and a slightly limited seat tube allowance for the seat post to insert into it. Now, both are, of course, set up to accommodate a dropper, but that also kind of restricts your dropper, because the longer travel your dropper, the more insertion it needs in order to be there. So something to keep in mind. The Slalom is the heavier bike with a little bit more restrictive dimensions. Now, do I still think it's the better bike? Absolutely. In stock form, it's night and day difference. This should be the $500 retail bike. If Walmart was going to say, hey, we're only going to keep one, it'd be the Slalom. And then the Ledge should be like a $300 to $350 bike. That's all it should be. I would love it actually if they kept it around at that kind of price range. But just like what I said with the Ledge, what are my plans going forward? I've already got very distinctive ideas for what I want to do with the Ledge to try to get it up to par with this performance-wise and on the trail feel without going over the price of this. Or, like I said, I'm going to give myself some wiggle room. I've already mentioned on that video, I have to replace the pedals. That's just absolute. I actually already have them. You just haven't seen them. I've got pedals, I got some grips, and the grips are fine on the Slalom. They really are. The grips are fine, but I'm going to color coordinate. Because if you've watched my older videos, you know I love to build bikes. And I love to make them all color coordinated. And this is going to get a splattering of orange all throughout it. Everything I change is going to get orange somewhere, here, there, everywhere. Because I think that'll dress it up really nice, and it's my colors. It's Mongoose's colors, but it's also mine. Especially when you look behind and you see, black and white and orange. And, of course, then you also see blue and red. But this is going to get some orange bits here and there. I am going to go to a slightly more aggressive front tire in time. I actually like these. I like these Kenda tires. But I'm going to switch out the front tire and go to a more aggressive tread pattern and pull this one off and save it as a backup rear. But the number one thing I have to do is the pedals, and then the second one is the saddle. The saddle is terrible for me. Saddles are personal preference. Don't let somebody tell you, oh, this is the best saddle in the world. It may not be. It may be horrific for you when you try it. There may be somebody out here who likes this saddle, but I can't stand it. I loved the bike. I loved how the bike rode and handled and felt. As long as I was standing. As long as I was standing. The moment I sat down, I was like, this saddle I hate it. So it's going to get a WTB Pure V most likely. That's my favorite saddle. That's what I've got on 4 of the bikes that you see ahead. I got Pure Vs on most of them. And it is by far my favorite all-time saddle. Not even close. Got some new pedals to throw on, grips. So minor upgrades. Just my kind of contact comfort points. And then in time, when my finances permit, I will be going to a longer travel fork, and I will be going to a upgraded rear shock. This shock is absolutely fine. I will not let anybody tell me otherwise. It is a basic rebound adjustable coil. Spring rate is a little high for me, but that's related onto you and your weight and how you ride. Now, if you do a lot of big hits, you might want the high spring rate. This is 850 pounds. I probably need to go down to a 550 or a 650. And that's kind of the thing about springs on a coil shock. You have to have a few different ones to try. So I probably will stay with a coil shock. I am not going to be trying to turn this into a super lightweight bike. That's not my goal with it. I'm going to make it kind of, I know it's a budget bike, but I'm going to make it kind of an aggressive trail bike. And we're going to see how it handles it. With at least 140 inch, or 140, not 140 inch, that'd be insane. 140 millimeter travel fork at minimum. Maybe 160. And then I might do I actually was looking at a shock that I like the looks of, a piggyback coilover that I will probably mount on this, which would of course restrict me from not being able to mount a water bottle, but so be it. That's a okay sacrifice. I like my water bottles, I really do. It's nice to be able to have, especially on hot summer days. You can, what a hydration pack is hard to do with is, I mean, it hydrates you well, lots of water, carries a lot of fluids, but you can't take a hydration pack and really dump it over your head on a really hot ride. And you can with the water bottle. But I can always throw on a water bottle mount onto the seat post. That is something I can do. They make those that clamp onto the seat post, and that's something that's like a backup. I can do that. But we'll see. But fork and wheels. Because if I'm going to go to... The only reason I really even upgrade the wheels is because I'm going to have this bike. You're going to see this on the channel for years to come. Unless I crack the frame or something. But you should see this bike hanging around the channel for the next few years. So I think it's deserving of a good quality wheel set. And when I upgrade the fork, I'm going to be going to a through axle fork. Because while this has the 148 boost through axle in the rear, it has standard quick release up front. So when I go to the new wheel, when I go to a new fork, I'm not going to stay with a quick release fork. I'm going to go to a through axle fork. And that's going to immediately require a new front wheel. So might as well just get the wheel set. But that'll be maybe a couple months from now. I'm going to ride it as it is, with a saddle change, a pedal change, grip change, and maybe a few little minor cosmetic bits. So that's what to expect. Like I mentioned in the ledge video, I'm toying with the idea of throwing a Q's crankset to finish out the group, and I might. That might be it. They have some upgraded versions of the cranks, because remember, Q's comes in different levels. So I might put the better spline cranks from Q's on there and just run with it. That or maybe like some Truvative. I always did like Truvative and Race Face and FSA cranks. So I got multiple options. But I'll probably try the Q's to give them kind of a torture test long term. But that's future. Immediately, contact points. Grips, saddle, pedals. And then we'll go from there. But hopefully you enjoyed this. I just sometimes like rambling about bikes. And hopefully you liked hanging out and hearing the rambling. Until next time, it's Mongo Shake saying thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this.